Oh, good morning. I need to fix my camera and stuff. I moved it trying to stream on Kick the other day. Oh, and I didn't turn this shit on. And I moved my lights when I was trying to DJ and it didn't work. I was pretty pissed about that. So, good morning. I hope everybody is having a good start to your week. It is Tuesday, June 25th. Let me fix my lighting. I probably need to move it because there's a shadow. This is what happens when I move stuff and I try to do other stuff and then I forget that I need to move it back. Anyway, so I tried to stream on my birthday on Kick and Title made a change. So I've had Title as long as I've been online DJing, so a little over 4 years. And recently they changed it to where you have to pay an extra $9 a month to be able to access the music on the DJ software, which is ridiculous because it's already $13.99 a month. So ever since they did that change, whenever I go live, it doesn't load the songs. It works fine when I'm not live, but as soon as I go live, it doesn't work. So I'm going to have to go back to the old school way and reset up my music library and actually pay for music and buy music and all that fun stuff. So if anybody has a bunch of digital music that they want to give me, if you want to share some songs with me, it'd be great because I need to rebuild my library. And then I found my iTunes library that I have on a hard drive, but the hard drive is old and it only takes the old USB and I don't have any of those cables. Like everything that I could have been a backup for music on Thursday didn't work. But I'll figure it out and I'll be back. I was so bummed out because all I wanted to do was hang out with my internet friends on my birthday and I couldn't do that and I totally cried. I cried and my poor roommate didn't know what to do and he just came upstairs and hugged me. And he tried so hard. God bless that man. I'll have to share it on Twitter. He made dinner. Um, he made this like stuffed pork loin and it had prosciutto and cheese and peppers and all this other stuff in it. And he got me like the cinnamon roll cake and put sparklers and stuff in them and like surprised me, came downstairs. It was the most ridiculous thing ever, but it was so sweet. And I very much appreciate my roommate and the fact that he puts up with me. He's a great person. And he's a good looking guy, ladies. He's single, but you also have to put up with me. We're a package deal. The last chick he dated did not like me, so that didn't work out. So just, you can date him, but you just have to put up with me being around and being secure as a woman and being okay with him having female friends. So I'm not dating, so I haven't got to that point yet. I haven't tried dating since him and I have been roommates. That'll be fun. All right, so we are coming to enough about me. So much shit has been going on in the world. Uh, the Karen Reed trial is finally wrapping up. Thank God, because I'm tired of this trial. I'm not even watching it, and I'm sick of it. I hate seeing what is going on social media. I hate seeing that people are fighting and arguing and just ending friendships. Like I haven't seen this kind of stuff since the 2016 election. Like it's I hate it. So I'm looking. I have a couple videos for the Karen Reed trial. Let's see. I have one update here, and I have some updates with the Kansas. Oh, calm down, computer. The Kansas City mall murders. I also have a couple of videos about those. I do have some. Well, I don't want to say some. The majority of my stories are violent this morning, unfortunately. Uh, I wish that I had better news to share, but there's so much going on in our world that is brutal. And I think it's important to share these stories. Yes, Candace, I hate seeing people be attacked. And it's like people that were friends with each other are no longer friends over this trial. And the only people who truly know what happened, John's no longer with us. I don't even know that Karen really knows what happened, but I I'll, I just hope there's justice for John, whatever justice looks like. But I think we can all agree that the police did a horrible investigation, regardless of what you believe. If you think Karen is innocent or guilty, the police did do a horrible investigation, and that does impact the case. Uh, you would think that they would be carefuler in a murder, and especially of a fellow police officer, but I digress. So this video came out about an hour ago for the Karen Reed trial. Just a little update. I think I'm getting sick or allergies or something. Like my nose is but I know who I really feel for. I really feel for the kids that John had because they lost their parents and then now they've lost John. So either way, they're not going to get John back. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. This trial, regardless of the outcome, is probably going to go down in history like, the O.J. Simpson trial or something. This is not something that's going to go away. People are going to be arguing about this forever. But I don't know what justice looks like. I just know that I want justice for John and those poor babies. I just want to hug them. So anyway.
It is the final countdown now in the Karen Reed murder trial. Closing arguments will begin today. Jury deliberations expected to get underway.
And our news team has been following this case since the very beginning. And this morning, NBC 10's Minash Kungwari joins us live from Norfolk Superior Court as we await the next steps. Minash.
After roughly 9 weeks of trial and testimony from nearly 70 witnesses, Karen Reed's defense team resting their case early Monday afternoon.
Thank you, Your Honor. With that, the defense rests.
The stage has now been set for closing remarks in the Karen Reed murder trial. Our NBC 10's Kirsten Glavin caught up with her after yesterday's proceedings.
I'm ready to be done with this. I've worked on this case every day.
2 years, 4 months, and 26 days later, a 12-person jury will now decide her fate. Reed is accused of hitting her Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, with her SUV while dropping him off at a Canton home and leaving him to die in the snow. Her defense claims she is being framed. And just before wrapping up their case, their most important witnesses, a doctor and 2 crash analysis experts, all testifying that it's a possible cover-up.
What is your opinion or conclusion as to whether or not the damage to the taillight was caused by striking John O'Keefe's head?
From a damage standpoint, it was inconsistent.
If it's a significant impact at all, you're going to get bruising, and we don't have any bruising here.
I mean, that's the whole issue. There's no evidence to indicate what may have allegedly occurred in this case.
Well, we know that both the prosecution and the defense will each be given 1 hour to make their closing remarks to the jury, after which we expect the judge to give the jury some instructions before releasing them to deliberate. But for right now, we're live here in Dedham. Minash Kungwari, NBC 10 Boston.
All right, thank you, Minash. You can also watch today's closing arguments in the Karen Reed murder trial live on our website.
I wonder, how long do you guys think the jury is going to deliberate for? I think it's going to be a while. Let's see, which one of these videos is newer? So I have a video from News Nation where they have, is this the same? This is almost the same video. So they have an update. Yeah, this one has more views, so we'll go with this one. There is, let's see. You think till Wednesday? You think? I worry what will happen when the verdict is in. Yeah. I'm worried about what some people will do. The trial's been a circus. I don't like the woman doctor defense. I don't know anything about the woman doctor, so I can't speak to that. I have no idea which way the jury's going. There could be somebody out there tweeting, watching the jury's expressions. I have no idea. I've been trying to stay away from the Karen Reed trial because of how horrible everything has been. Because my main concern is John's family and those kids. And I don't know that with the kind of investigation that was done that there can be justice, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. You never know. I certainly never thought that OJ would have been found not guilty, but stranger things have happened. Let's see. Here we go. The Kansas moms killings. They had a hearing the other day, the suspects in that case. So this was June 19th. This video is uploaded.
Correspondent Brian Enton was jammed into that courtroom too, and he joins me now live. I was dying to talk to you about everything, not just the map that we put up, but the weirdness of having so many of them in one small courtroom and what it was like to be in there with them. So take me there and tell me everything.
Yeah, I think awkward is a good word to describe it, Ashley. First of all, we've seen over and over again the way they bring them into the courtroom. You know, they've got them shackled, the bulletproof vest. They walk them in one by one through the parking lot. And then once they got in the courtroom, there's the video right there. There's Grandma Tiffany when they brought her in this morning. I asked her a question, by the way, and she would barely even look at me. She just walked straight ahead. Anyway, once they get into the courtroom, in the past, they brought them in one by one for their part of the hearing. But today, as you mentioned, they had them all together. And it was a bizarre setup because they had to cram a lot of people in there. You saw the map. They had to put up in the jury box, it was Tad Cullum and Cole Twombly. And they had two white card tables that they put up in the jury box. They separated them. So you had the suspects at the table and then each had their lawyer at the table. And it was a little awkward because when they had to walk up and down those stairs up into the jury box, you know, they're shackled. They could barely get up the stairs. So they were up in the jury box. In front of the jury box, you had Paul Grice. They had another table set up right there. And Paul Grice was sitting there with his attorney. On the other side of the courtroom, on the other side of the judge, was Cora Twombly. Then at the defendant's table, at the big defendant's table that's always there, that's permanent, you had Grandma Tiffany, which I found to be kind of interesting because, you know, investigators have said all along, she's the mastermind behind the whole thing. She got the main table sitting right there at the big defendant's table. Then, of course, you had the prosecutors, and it was full. There were at least 4 defense investigators sitting right in the front row, and then, as you mentioned, also victims' family members. So it was full. It was awkward with them all together. You can only imagine, Ashley, they likely haven't seen each other or locked eyes since they were all arrested.
So I was doing a little reading up on your notes while you were in there, and something just jumped out at me. It was the Twombleys, right? They're not together. They're actually apart, facing each other across the courtroom. And like Mr. Twombly's lawyer is a woman and seemed to be like way more friendly than you would normally see in a courtroom. And that's Cora looking across at her husband.
Yeah.
What happened? What was going on?
Yeah, this was strange. So first of all, you mentioned they're across from each other. They locked eyes. At one point, it looked like Cora maybe was almost crying a little bit. But Cole Twombly has this female attorney. And at one point, he now has kind of a buzz-shaved head, and she's like rubbing his head, Ashley. She's rubbing Cole's head. This is the attorney. rubbing his head in the courtroom, and almost like leans over and is leaning on him, which everybody in the courtroom noticed. And the thing I was wondering is, I mean, you've seen this sometimes during a trial, attorneys will sort of try to humanize their clients. They might touch them a little bit, try to show that they're not monsters. But this wasn't a trial. I mean, there's no jury there. And I was just wondering what Cora Twombly was thinking while this whole thing was going down.
Well, and I'm also thinking, what was that lawyer thinking? Because you should not be, sampling the buzz cut of your client and then, relaxing teenage movie theater style with your arm around the back of your client's chair, especially since the dynamic is that his wife is right across the way. What was that like? Was she upset? Was she crying? Did she eventually look away? How did that go over?
I mean, honestly, our eyes were so locked on what was happening with the lawyer, I actually didn't look over at Cora at that moment. But throughout the entire thing, Cora just seemed to be actually the most emotional. She was teary-eyed. She looked like she was emotional. The others, not so much, really didn't show much emotion at all. Grandma Tiffany, you remember last time we saw her, she had that really tight braid. That was the thing I remember about the last time I saw her walking in. She didn't have the braid this time. It was only partially braided. Her hair has turned much more gray. And she, again, there she is when she walked in. I mean, she doesn't look at anybody, really. Barely makes eye contact with anybody. She's a serious woman, it seems. And she marched right in that courtroom and didn't really say a word.
Well, she didn't say a word, but you talked to some court watchers. I mean, listen, there's a big fascination, not just in that little town and that little panhandle, but all across the country. Some people who were in court came out of court to talk to you. Tell me what you found out.
Yeah, I think the fascination and the big question right now, especially with them all crammed in that little room together, is who is going to turn on who? And that's what happens behind the scenes at this stage of an investigation. And the prosecution oftentimes hopes for it, that someone's going to turn on somebody else and they're going to get some info. And who's going to try to save themselves? And that's what a lot of people in the courtroom were thinking about today. Take a listen. Do you get the sense that they're going to turn on each other at some point?
It makes you wonder if somebody won't start talking. It'll be interesting to see who, because I think somebody will talk.
Who do you think?
If I was picking, Cora, maybe, or Paul, one of those two. Tad is very in tuned and he likes watching whatever.
Are these the court watchers? Are these the people that just watch courts? It's funny because they look like the average person that is at CrimeCon.
But he's doing, because he had eye contact with everybody. He was watching the whole thing between the lawyers and everything. So it was interesting.
It's interesting she said that about Cora. Again, she did appear to be sort of the most emotional in the moment today in court, Ash.
Well, if I'm Cora and I'm looking at my husband doing, footsie and fingersies across the courtroom, I might consider flipping on him. Who knows? That might not be the best, strategy I've ever heard of in a courtroom. Brian Enton, thank you so much for that. I just love when you give us this color, and especially in this bizarre case. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, she's messy. She's probably the friend that has the gossip or pulls the gossip out of you. I bet. Yeah, if you're playing footsies and your lawyer is sampling your buzz cut, I'm going to snitch you out too. I mean, I wouldn't be caught in a murder, but, Yeah. So, that was interesting. Let me see. Oh, some good news for once. The Supreme Court has upheld the gun control law that if you get a restraining order, you get your gun taken away. So I was very scared when they were trying to change that. Quick video on that. Oh my God. Stop it. Stop it. I swear, my computer is possessed. I'm looking at buying a new computer. They have these compact PCs. I really want a Mac. I love Mac. I've worked at Apple for a decade, whatever. It's too damn expensive for what I need on a Mac, so I'm looking at these PCs. They're like this big. They look like a Mac Mini. Actually, they're smaller, but they do what I need. Anyway, I'll stop talking. Supreme Court.
Well, some breaking news now just into our newsroom. The Supreme Court has upheld a federal gun control law that's intended to protect domestic violence victims. The justices ruled in favor of a 1994 ban on firearms for people under restraining orders from their spouses or their partners. The justices reversed a ruling from the federal appeals court in New Orleans that had struck down the law. It's the justices' first Second Amendment case since they expanded gun rights in 2022.
So that's good news. For those of you that watched my Ashes to Advocacy series, you would have heard about my mom's boyfriend and the things that happened with him. When we filed a restraining order, the police did take all the weapons out of the house. He had a .357 Magnum. For those of you not familiar, that's a pretty damn big revolver. That's a scary gun to know that somebody has, especially somebody that you have a restraining order against. And I remember when we got them back, because the police had taken them apart, cleaned them, and put plastic things through them. So I am very grateful to the Supreme Court for doing that. If you don't have a doorbell camera, I definitely suggest that you get one, because you never know what you're going to capture. Like an Amazon driver, leaving more than he should.
A homeowner in Riverside County making a disturbing discovery on his doorbell camera. It shows an Amazon driver urinating at the front door of a home. It happened Wednesday. Security cameras show the driver about to make his delivery when he relieves himself. Homeowner says the man also urinated on his kids' bicycles before walking away. Homeowner says he was alerted to the incident by the security cameras. We've reached out to Amazon for comment, but have not heard back.
Yeah, so I heard, and I don't know if this is true, that like they're really hard on the Amazon workers and like they have to make so many deliveries within a certain amount of time, and it's really hard for them to do that. So the chances of them being able to stop to pee are pretty slim. So I'm not condoning what this person did at all. Maybe pee in a bottle in the car, but that's the only reason I can think that you would pee on a random person's doorstep. I think I'm gonna leave some treats or something outside for the Amazon people because I, yeah, I get a lot of Amazon deliveries and now I'm afraid. All right, so Arkansas had a mass shooting event at a grocery store. Sadly, there were 13 people shot, 3 were killed, 10 wounded. So we're just going to share a video about that and talk about some of the victims. And I have some judges that we're going to talk about today too. There was 2 judges that have been acting bad. And then I do have a very sad story coming out of Houston with a 12-year-old girl that was murdered. Those are some of the things that we have coming up. And yes, Catchlisk, he's facing the camera. How do you not see the camera? Almost everybody has cameras now, especially in apartment complexes. You can't trust, because I had packages and stuff stolen all the time when I lived in an apartment complex, and I think it was kids that were doing it, but once I put the camera up, they stopped. But yes, get a ring, get a blink, whatever it is, or just get a fake one. They sell fake ones, if you don't want to actually get one, get a fake one so it looks like you have one. But I have Ring. I really like Ring. I like that it's just easy setup. I used to do security systems, so I could do a more sophisticated security system, but I don't need that. I really don't. And if anybody wants to log into my Ring and see me, then hi. I don't care. I think my password's secure enough. Good morning, Kai. Thank you for joining. Thank you everybody for being here. So the next story is we're going to talk about Arkansas. and what happened there. And I feel like this story didn't make as big of news as it should have, because I feel like this was just a blip and all these other things are taking over. Like, this is horrible. 13 people were shot. Why isn't this all over the internet? I have not seen this on Twitter at all. I don't know if y'all have seen it, but I haven't.
The sounds of gunfire tonight erupting by an Arkansas gas station as police confirm a mass shooting at a Fordyce grocery store an hour's drive from Little Rock, claiming the lives of 3 people.
This situation is secure and it's contained. There are no active threats to the community.
One video shows a man walking through the parking lot with a long gun, pointing and firing, although police have not confirmed who that is.
Oh my God, baby. There's somebody over there.
State police say 8 other civilians were injured, their conditions ranging from non-life-threatening to extremely critical. 2 members of law enforcement were also shot, but police say will survive. The volley of bullets nearly taking more lives.
I was crying, I was nervous, I was having a breakdown, and I heard, and he had shot at my mama's car, and it was the tire, and he missed us by like an inch. And I was just sitting there, I was praying, hold my sister's hand, because I was scared, Both were scared.
Police also saying the shooter tonight critically injured and in custody. This as the U.S. has experienced more than 230 mass shootings this year, documented by the Gun Violence Archive, including 9 just over the weekend. From 2 killed at a Juneteenth celebration in Round Rock, Texas, to 36 rounds fired at a splash pad in Michigan, injuring 9, including an 8-year-old child. Tonight, Arkansas officials trying to console yet another community in mourning.
It's tragic. Our hearts are broken.
Sam, what do we know about the victims in this case?
So, Lester, right now, police are not providing any details, but our affiliate there reports one of the victims was a 23-year-old nurse on her day off, just out for grocery shopping. She leaves behind a 10-month-old child. Lester.
Thanks for watching.
And they say that violence goes up in the summer because of the heat. So we're not even at the hottest point of the summer yet. And yeah. So, I mean, the stuff like this is one of the reasons why I moved out of the city. I love Houston. I love Houston so much. I do. And I will always fight for Houston and Harris County, but I needed to move somewhere quieter and safer for my own my own mental health. There's so much going on in cities right now. And the other day I was talking about when I streamed, I was like, oh, it's not people coming over here aren't migrants aren't the issue that people are saying they are. And I mean, they are an issue with some violence. But then right after I said that, there was 3 cases back to back to back of people in our country that aren't supposed to be here that murdered citizens. And it's like, you guys aren't really helping my argument here. I come from a family of immigrants. I know we all do, but I'm literally first generation. So I want good things for immigrants, but this is not it. One of the guys was only in the country for 23 days when he murdered a 12-year-old girl. And I found out that they weren't supposed to be here. Neither one of them were supposed to be here. The government only monitors you. So they come in. The government's like, hey, why are you here? And you're not supposed to be here. And then they put an ankle monitor. But then they only monitor for 21 days. And one of them had been here for a couple months, and the other one had been here for 23 days. They had an apartment. Who was paying for the apartment? Who's paying for all this? It is an issue, but, I'm here defending immigrants. And then we have 3 cases back to back to back. And I know that it's a larger issue in areas where there's more migrants. You know, San Antonio has a migrant center, the border, New York. One of my friends lives in New York, and she said how much it's changed in the last year, and because of the stuff that's there. And I hate it. I hate that this is a thing, and yeah. I want to defend immigrants, but it's not becoming, it's not easy right now with all the stuff that's happening. So the 12-year-old girl that was murdered in Houston, Jocelyn, she had snuck out. At her age, I snuck out. Actually, I'd ran away. I ran away for 2 weeks when I was her age. And I thank God that nothing happened to me and that I was, I thank God that nothing happened to me because she was just gone a couple hours. She wasn't gone that long, just a couple hours she was gone. And that is what happened. So I have a couple videos from Houston about Jocelyn and the men that are suspected in murdering her. Now, I do want to warn you that the details of this case are disturbing. I have never seen our local media put a warning. They put a warning on this story. So I'm just gonna, yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the terminology, illegals, migrants, whatever you want to call them, uh, it doesn't change what's happening. And it's like trying to change the verbiage for pedophile or criminal. It's still an issue. I hate arguing over semantics when people are dying. So the first video is going to be how police were able to track the murderers. They were able to catch them very quickly. There was a video of
one of the men accused in the
men at the 7-Eleven with her, and they were able to get out the photos very quickly. And they were caught very, less than a day, I think. The police did an excellent job. Thank you, HPD, for working so hard. This little girl right here is changing Houston. People in Houston are pissed. There's so many other cases that we have had, and there's so many cases that we have had that should have had people angry. You guys have seen me ranting and upset over so many things that have happened in Houston. But this little girl has really lit a fire under the ass and people in Houston. Her memorial, they had a candlelight vigil the other day. There was hundreds of people there. Houston has a new mayor. In the last few months, we have a new mayor, and our mayor has been very outspoken about this. He had hundreds of people chanting "no bond" when it came to these guys, because the judge that was over these suspects, he's known for low bonds. I know multiple people that their child's murder case has gone in the court and the person has gotten bond and low bond, and they keep lowering it. This is a huge issue in Houston. But because of what happened to Jocelyn, people are finally seeing what is happening. Because I have been called crazy. I have been called a fear monger. I have been called that I'm spreading propaganda by talking about the crime that's happening and all this stuff. I've been called all sorts of names just trying to draw attention to what is happening in Harris County and in Houston. Finally, people are seeing what is happening because of what happened to her. And it's a sacrifice that I wish wasn't made, because she's a beautiful young girl. She deserved to turn 13, 14. She deserved to live a life, but she's now the city of Houston's child too.
Of a 12-year-old girl gets slapped with a $10 million bond. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Keith Garvin.
I'm Lisa Hernandez. Daniela Guzman is off tonight. 2 men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
APRC2's Corley Peel is live downtown outside the Harris County Courthouse with new details about how police tracked down those 2 men. Corley.
While both men were on the run, police received a large amount of tips, even from Pena's boss, who the men ran to for help. A $10 million bond and an ICE hold. Franklin Pena is staying locked up on his capital murder charge, a relief to 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungaray's family.
I'm thankful for the ruling today, the amount of bail that was set. I know for a fact they're not going anywhere.
Only KPRC2 was there as police took Pena and Johan Rangel Martinez into custody on Thursday, 3 days after Jocelyn was found strangled to death. Prosecutors say both men were looking for money to get out of town. They called Pena's boss at a local construction company.
Did he tell his boss what he allegedly did?
There's an understanding that something went wrong, someone got hurt, and someone was killed.
Did the boss notify police?
Yes, the boss came forward and spoke to the police.
Is that how they ultimately found out where they were?
That is one of the ways that the police were able to determine where they were and who the suspects were.
Investigators say Jocelyn snuck out of her family's apartment sometime after 10 p.m. on June 16th. Pena and Martinez had visited a local bar for hours. They eventually saw Jocelyn at a 7-Eleven and asked her for directions. Court records showed they lured Jocelyn to a bridge. Pena told authorities he tried to tell Martinez to stop, but Martinez put his arm around Jocelyn's neck and covered her mouth. Martinez allegedly tied Jocelyn up and told Pena to put her body in the water to remove any DNA. She was found without her pants and cuts on her body.
I just want people to remember, I know this is a very high profile case, but she was still my firstborn.
And Border Patrol released both men on their own recognizance after they were arrested near El Paso earlier this year. And Jocelyn's grandfather is calling on leaders to have stronger immigration laws and to change those immigration laws. And this tragedy has even sparked a debate on immigration across the U.S. And even President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have been weighing in on this tragedy. Both released statements over the weekend, and we have their statements on click2houston.com. Martinez has his arraignment tomorrow morning, and we will be there.
Yeah, $10 million bond. I've never seen that. I've never seen that before. So I have a 2-minute video of the mother speaking, so I'm going to share that. Also, if you guys are familiar with Houston at all, you may be familiar with Mattress Mac. Mattress Mac is a millionaire. He does a lot of stuff in Houston. He is covering the cost of the funeral. The funeral for her will be on Thursday. It is open to the public. I have shared the information on my Twitter. If you are in the Houston area and you would like to attend, I will be there, and every advocate in the city will be there as far as I know. One of my friends has been helping the family, April Aguirre. Her niece was murdered a couple years ago, and she has become a fierce advocate in Houston, so I'm very glad to see April helping the family navigate this. But here's the mother.
I thank everybody for being here to make notice, a national notice for my daughter. She was amazing. I still see her face in the back of my head every day, all day. Keep getting little signs about her throughout the days, and it's just been a very, very hard time for me and my family. But the amount of support I've been getting from everybody it's very, it's from the bottom of my heart, so appreciated. I hear her sayings just replaying over and over on in a loop in my brain. Her dorkiness, her quirkiness. She definitely made people laugh. She's I'm always gonna remember those memories because she had such a bright future ahead of her, and I knew she was gonna go very far. And you know, these monsters took that opportunity from her, from our family, of watching her. And I just want people to remember, I know this is a very high profile case, but she was still my firstborn. I was a teen mom. I fought for her at 15. So 27 now, I'm still fighting for her. And just remember that she was a very special little girl that deserves her justice. And I know she's gonna make a difference in this world for all children. And now it's my job to make sure it continues to happen. I just want to say thank you.
I'm gonna cry. I suspected she was a teen mom because she looks so young, you know, so she grew up with her daughter, you know, and she will make a difference. I think that what happened to her has opened a lot of people's eyes to stuff that is happening. And now people see. Because if you don't turn on the news, if you don't pay attention, you might think that things aren't as bad as they are. But they are. Yeah, it's when you... The only way that I can describe how she was able to get through that is you kind of like disassociate. When I gave Austin's eulogy, like I just put myself somewhere else so I could get through it without crying. And I've done the same thing when I've given some speeches. Sometimes I crack, but it's only been a few days too, so she's still in shock. I think I was just kind of numb, especially for the first week. And this being her child, you know, I don't know what it's like to have a child and that kind of loss. I can only imagine. So a couple more stories coming out of Houston. So I have a judge behaving badly. And then I have another judge from Atlanta also behaving badly. So first we'll get the Houston judge.
Also tonight, a judge pulled over for reckless driving, and then a sergeant said he smelled alcohol.
Only 13 Investigates obtained audio of that encounter with Judge Kelly Johnson.
Last month, we told you she had been absent from the bench for weeks for, quote, personal matters after a crisis intervention call to her home. That was after this traffic stop you're about to hear. ABC 13's Jessika Willie has the update.
First off, this is body-worn camera video of this incident, but there is no video, only audio. The sheriff's office says there was an obstruction when this recording was made, and it wasn't just on one camera, it was on two cameras. The stop lasted 45 minutes. I spoke with a couple of attorneys and a retired police officer tonight who told me Johnson, who is well-liked, got off lucky.
How you, sir, could have done what you did.
3 days before Harris County Judge Kelly Johnson found Brian Coulter guilty of murdering his girlfriend's son, whose body was left to rot for a year, she was pulled over by Harris County Sheriff's Office sergeant. It was around 8 p.m. April 12th along 290.
Drive to the next exit and get off the freeway.
They ended up in a parking lot. along Spring Cypress.
You know the reason why you've been stopped?
I'm sure I was speeding.
Correct. And you're driving over on Jackrabbit. You're driving on the wrong side of the road?
Okay.
Okay. Have you had anything to drink tonight?
No.
You sure? Because I can, it smells like either you've drowned yourself in perfume or...
If you would like to do a field sobriety test, you can.
All right. I'll have someone come over and take care of that.
While they wait for the deputy to come to the scene, Johnson identifies herself.
I'm a judge, and it's...
You're a judge?
A criminal district judge, yes.
Okay.
Long week.
And then brings up the Coulter case.
Can I tell you where I've been?
Sure.
So I've been at so I've tried the Brian Coulter case, which is y'all's, all week.
As the second deputy arrives, she asked about the initial reason for the stop.
Multiple traffic violations, speeding, unsafe lane changes, driving on the wrong side of the road.
The sergeant is keenly aware of the recordings, though both cameras are obstructed. Johnson appeals to the female deputy and asks for a supervisor.
But if I do this test and you don't think I do well, I lose my career.
Yeah.
And this is, can you call, I'd like a witness. Can we call Ben Katrib? I'll call Sidney Miller, Sheriff Gonzalez. This is a huge deal for me, okay?
Ma'am, here's the thing. I am her supervisor, okay? She is asking you to exit the car so she can admit her SFSTs to you. Everything we do is recorded on that camera, this body camera, everything that we hear. We're not calling Lieutenant Katrib, and we're not calling Sheriff Gonzalez. This is an investigation into an impaired driver.
I could lose my entire career.
You're right, Your Honor.
You don't believe.
And here's the thing, Your Honor. I could lose my entire career if I let you use the position that you, being a judge,
I'm not using a position
to do this. I smelt it. She sees that your eyes are. She sees that your eyes are red and bloodshot. So she is going now as the wind's blowing through. Yes, I do smell.
All right, I'll step out.
You're gonna put your left foot on the line.
The deputy performs the test. They agree she failed a couple clues, but not enough for an arrest.
She's probably been drinking, just not to the level of.
When you got her out, could you smell it?
I could smell it then once she got out.
Despite the alleged traffic violations, Judge Johnson, an elected official, was given a warning.
So I'm going to write you a warning citation for the speeding, 77 NA 65, and let it go at that. Fair enough? All right.
Judge Johnson
So
did not
lucky.
respond to our requests for comment, and neither did the courts when we inquired about her status. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says the deputies did nothing wrong. They can use discretion, they say, when issuing citations. Jessica Willie, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
I do appreciate how the sergeant handled it, and she is a judge, she is a lawyer, so they do know that they need concrete evidence to arrest her. And if they were wrong, he also would have gotten in trouble. So I do appreciate that the sergeant wasn't falling for her crap and wanted the sheriff and stuff out there, but there wasn't enough evidence that she was too drunk. But there's been a lot going on with her. I have not heard good things about her when people are in her courtroom. She did rule well in the case that they were talking about. He had murdered a child, so she did a good ruling there. Yeah, I've never experienced so many people driving on the wrong side of the road until I moved to Houston. Like, I know it happens in other areas, but it definitely happens more frequently than it should in Houston, and I have no idea why. No clue. So I have the, Jesus, they have $67,000 raised. There is a GoFundMe for the family of Jocelyn. There is only one GoFundMe. Mattress Mac is sharing it. I have it on my Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and share it here too. If anybody would like to donate, that is the legitimate GoFundMe. So we have one judge behaving badly. That was drunk. She'd been drinking. Another judge in Atlanta also getting drunk and behaving badly. This one, she acted a complete fool. This, she got arrested, and she should have gotten arrested.
Atlanta police released new video showing the arrest of a Douglas County judge. It shows probate judge Christina Peterson's encounter with police before, during, and after she was arrested and booked into the Fulton County Jail.
Ma'am,
Take me where you want to take me.
I can't take
No,
you. I don't
take
have any
me.
identification on
And
you.
I don't care. You don't need identification. You have locked people up, and you have picked up dead bodies when you don't know who bodies it was, but you picked them up. Take me where you need to take me.
That's Peterson you saw in the back of the squad car. There she is again engaging with police before she's rushed to the ground and placed in handcuffs. The night this happened, an Atlanta police officer was working a security detail at the Red Martini Lounge in Buckhead. Police say the officer overheard some commotion, stepped in to de-escalate it, and that's when Peterson physically got involved with police. Police also showed video of what happened when they got her out of the squad car.
Stop touching. I got it. I can walk on my own. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I got it. I can walk on my own. Don't touch me.
Peterson is now being charged with simple battery against a police officer and felony willful obstruction of law enforcement by use of threats of violence. The judge and her attorney held a news conference yesterday. She says she was wrongfully arrested and now wants the charge.
She acted a fool. She smacked the cops. She refused to. All she had to do was tell them who she was. And, like, if you do something and the police have to identify it, you have to tell them. You are legally supposed to have an ID on you. All right. So, let's see. What else? So, I'm gonna stop at 8 because I know the Karen Reed trial is gonna start up soon. So I'm trying to see what else I want to share in the short time that we have left together. So in Houston, again, there was a story that a homeowner had shot and killed 3 burglars. I was like, that's weird. All 3? But it's not something uncommon. I've seen people defend their home multiple times. So the man did not shoot burglars. It was actually his family. He killed 3 members of his family and tried to pass them off as burglars. So he somehow got no bond. So I'm confused. They said that they couldn't do no bond for the men that murdered Jocelyn until they prove sexual assault, but this guy kills 3 of his family members and he doesn't have bond. That makes no sense. If you are, the laws are stupid. Judge, yeah, anyway.
And new this afternoon, the man accused of shooting and killing 3 family members over the weekend at a Spring Branch apartment is being held without bond. 27-year-old Brian Fernandez Hernandez made his first court appearance after being charged with capital murder. Devon Raming live in downtown Houston outside the Harris County Criminal Courthouse with new details on the days leading up to the shooting. Devon.
Well, Sherman, prosecutors say that this shooting happened on Saturday, but police were called to the home 4 days prior because the suspect was, quote, trying to evict his relatives. That entire incident was caught on police body camera video, which is how police say they were able to identify the victims and their relationship to the suspect. Houston police say all 4 of them lived in the home, and Hernandez called 911 on Saturday claiming he shot 3 people who broke into his home. But after further investigation, they learned there was no sign of forced entry and the 3 people were his relatives. They include his 65-year-old mother, 43-year-old sister, and 38-year-old brother-in-law. We asked his defense attorney if the suspect is denying all allegations against him, and here's what he had to say in response after today's hearing, along with the prosecutors in this case.
The reality is he's still presumed innocent, and the presumption of innocence and the burden of proof
And Judge Kristen Guinea will take care of the matters here in this court.
We believe that we'll find more evidence, hopefully, as the case develops. But if not, we believe right now there's enough to show that he did shoot these 3 people, and he did not believe they were intruders when he shot them.
All 3 victims were shot in the head, and investigators say the suspect's 65-year-old mother lived in the apartment off Hammerly Boulevard, and the other 2 family members had been staying there for several days prior to the shooting. Now, Hernandez will be back in court in 30 days for what's called a proof evident hearing, basically to see if he's eligible for bail at that time. For now, live in downtown Houston.
Okay. It said no bond in the title, so maybe they haven't decided that yet, because they go before a magistrate before. Yeah, the title literally says held without bond. So you guys, your title is incorrect. He hasn't gone to a hearing yet. Anyway, I'll stop. I do have a nicer story that I'm going to put down at the bottom to do that before. Geez, I have so many videos saved. Yeah, we're not going to get through all these. Nope. No. 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 God, I can't wait. I might actually watch the Karen Reed trial today. Oh, well, this is very important. I have to share this. There's a new sexually transmitted something. It's not really a disease. It's like a fungal infection. It's been reported in New York City. So if you're in New York, be careful, extra careful. But it's really ringworm, I guess. But anyway, that's always fun. New sexually transmitted stuff. I don't have to worry about that because I'm basically a nun at this point.
Health professionals are getting the word out about a sexually transmitted form of ringworm that's newly made its way into the U.S. So far, there's 1 reported case, and it is here in New York. CBS 2's Christy Kalishian shares what doctors know so far.
It's an infection that comes from the same fungus linked to conditions you may know of, like ringworm, jock itch, and athlete's foot.
What makes this case a little bit different is it is a type of ringworm that can cause more inflammatory type lesions, and it can occur in the groin area or the genital area.
Dr. Avram Kaplan led the study and authored a report published in the journal JAMA Dermatology earlier this week on Trichophyton mentagrophytes type 7, or TM7. It's a sexually transmitted infection that can appear like this in the groin area and can be itchy. So far, the 1 reported case in the U.S. is in New York City. A man in his 30s, the report says.
It was reported in a journal, which tells you that it's new. We're still learning about it. Because it's just this 1 case, I think we're really starting to understand how could this have happened.
The study says the patient noticed itchy lesions after a trip to England, Greece, and California, where he said he had sex with multiple male partners. Cases popped up last year in France. Earlier ones were linked to those in contact with sex workers in Southeast Asia.
If they have a persistent itchy or painful lesion or eruption around the genital area of the buttocks, that's when they should be seeking medical advice.
The rash could be mistaken for other conditions. If left or improperly treated, it could lead to infection. Doctors say it is treatable thanks to antifungal therapies. City Health Commissioner Dr. Ashwin Vasan says the doctor's office is always judgment-free.
Shame always gets in the way of getting healthy. So I would say never feel ashamed to go reach out to your doctor.
Doctors say communicating with your partner about having conditions like this is key in preventing the spread.
An eruption. I don't want to think about an eruption of stuff in my groin and buttocks. That doesn't sound very fun. Yeah, I don't want to deal with that. What is this? Did something... Oh, here we go. This looks like a fun story. Hammer welding barista smashes customer's windshield.
After a customer at this barista's drive-thru window complained about the cost of his coffee and threw it at her, she came right back at him with a hammer. Les Trent tells you what happened.
Things are about to get ugly at this drive-through coffee stand. A customer has gotten out of his car, apparently because he's upset about being charged $20 for a coffee and a water. He wants $5 off, but the barista says no dice.
You don't think I'm going to throw this on you? You want me to throw this on you?
Okay, not exactly service with a smile. She hands him back his drinks and things really escalate. Here it is again. First, the customer throws the water, then the coffee. But the barista isn't taking it lying down. Yep, she smashes his windshield with a hammer. The video is dividing social media with comments like, if you throw a drink at someone, be prepared for them to respond, and not a good look.
I was trying to de-escalate as much as I felt was appropriate for the situation.
I spoke to the barista, 23-year-old Emma Lee. She owns the Taste of Heaven Bikini coffee stand in Seattle. Typically, to draw customers, she wears a bikini.
I have a hammer under the counter.
Why? Why do you do that?
For self-defense. In this particular business where women are alone, they are extra vulnerable, you need it.
The barista wants that customer charged with assault.
Okay. What do you guys think? Should she have reacted that way? Do you think that it was justified for her to smash his windshield? So I'm guessing she wasn't charged in that because he threw the drinks and that's technically assault. But the window, it did look like the window was closed. And why did she say, do you want me to throw this on you? I mean, she's the owner, so she can say and do whatever she pleases. But anywhere that I've worked, I would definitely get in huge trouble if I did something like that. But, you know, she's the owner. She can do whatever she wants, I guess. So let's see. Here we go. So a woman drove over her husband in, of course, Harris County. Gotta love Houston. Don't drive over your husbands when you get upset. Don't do it.
Today, our patrolmen were dispatched out here in reference to a pedestrian versus a vehicle. Upon further investigation, they learned that it was a husband and a wife engaged in a verbal argument, which resulted in the wife, who was a driver, speeding off at a high rate of speed. The gentleman was attempting to exit the vehicle. He was dragged by the vehicle. At one point, she ran him over. After she ran him over, he fell to the ground. Witnesses observed her turn the car around in an attempt to run him over again. She stopped after observing the witnesses, and he was transported via life flight to a local hospital where he's listed in stable condition.
So the argument happened inside the vehicle?
The argument happened at another location, and it resulted in them coming over here to this location. It was a moving disturbance, and it resulted and ended here.
But he was like in the vehicle and then
he was in the vehicle in an attempt to exit the vehicle. Yeah, he was run over. No idea what the argument was over.
That's the thing that we want to know the most.
She's currently being detained. Charges will be presented to the Harris County the Harris County District Attorney's Office.
Yeah, I want to know what the argument was about. What argument were you guys having that you thought that I need to run him over? That's crazy. That's just insane. Like, I sometimes get really upset and yell and scream, but never exit a vehicle in an argument, especially on the highway or something. This was in the parking lot, but there have been multiple cases in Harris County, like 5 or 6, where somebody was arguing and the other partner got out of the vehicle like on a highway and then was hit by a car. So don't do that. Definitely. It's not worth it. it's just not, it's not worth your life. But this lady sounds crazy, so he might have been safer getting out of the vehicle. So, a Vermont lawmaker was caught pouring water in a rival's bag. This adult, full-grown adult with gray hair, was putting water in the person's bag for months.
The water incident started in January of this year, and initially, we arrive in the legislature with snow, and I thought that I may have knocked snow off a tree that hung over my car, and it ended up in my bag, and I didn't really think too much of it. And then it happened again, and I made sure that when I got out of my car, I was paying attention to whether or not any snow got knocked in there. And I hung up the bag, and I came out. And it usually happened between 9 and noon, and sometimes later in the day. And it was wet. And then, it was clear this was not a mistake. It was intentional. And I didn't know who was doing it or why. And it made for really uncomfortable days up there. I remember walking around the hallways, and even in my committee room, looking at my fellow legislators, and it was like I was looking for a tell. You know what I mean by a tell? A poker player has a tell, a tick that gives them away. And I remember watching and waiting for that, and I didn't see it. And it got to the point where it was awkward. I mean, I was looking at them, waiting for something, and then I just stopped going to the lunchroom, and I would stay in the committee room, and I'd go into the House chamber, and I'd look around, and it was miserable. It was just a miserable time, and that lasted for about 6 weeks. And I was racking my brains thinking, who would do this and why? And then I turned the question around a little bit to myself, and I said, well, who's treating me like crap? And there was only one person, and that was Representative Morrissey. And she would say things that were just mean. One of her favorites was we would be in proximity to one another, and we'd be in the lunch line or at an ice cream social where there were other legislators around, or near the elevator, because she had hip replacements, and I've got neuropathy in my feet and bad knees. And anyway, she'd be in proximity, and she would say, "What is that smell?" and then recoil from me. It was embarrassing and humiliating, and it was deliberate. There was no question about it. She intended to make me miserable, and it worked.
So this is a Vermont legislator making a comment to another Vermont legislator, something you might hear in a fourth grade classroom, right? I mean,
yes.
It's plus the water.
Clearly.
I mean, the whole thing is just astonishing. Are you not just sort of like your head blown and saying, this actually happened?
I am. I was talking with a very good friend of mine over the last several days, and I told her that, there are times when I'm able to just sort of distance myself from it, and then it'll sneak up on me, and it's like I've been slapped in the face, and I have to say to myself, this really happened. I'm not imagining this. This happened, and I'm still incredulous, gobsmacked that it really did happen.
I wasn't sure if you were going to be sort of smiling about this or angry about this. It seems pretty clear you're angry.
I have to say I'm sad, more that I'm sad. I'm disappointed. When I was making the recordings, the camera only recorded at 5-minute intervals. So at the end of the day, I would go and I'd watch 5 minutes carefully and didn't see anything. And then the next day, I was going through, I smoke, and I was outside the building and was having a cigarette and scrolling through another video. And then I saw her. And it was her. It was no mistake. But I suspected it was. But I did not have absolute confirmation that it was her. And when I saw it, I just felt sad. And I said out loud to myself, there's no good that's going to come of this. None.
She's apologized. She said, I've given my sincere apology to Jim directly and publicly, be working towards resolution and restoration through our legislative process. It was conduct most unbecoming of my position as a representative and as a human, and is not reflective of my 28 years of service and civility. Do you forgive her?
I want to believe, and I said on the House floor that I believe in her sincerity. I want to.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find...
No, don't. That's so, like, I'm not forgetting. You did that for months. You plotted that. You planned it. Wow. No. That's just horrible. Absolutely horrible. Let's see. What did I want to show next? There is a woman, a San Antonio woman, that is being sued by the FAA for acting up on a plane. And they had to duct tape her to the seat. Flight attendants really don't want to do that, because if something happens and they have to quickly get off the plane, that's going to hinder what they're doing. So the fact that she had to be duct taped is insane.
New at 10, the video went viral, showing a San Antonio woman duct taped to a chair on a plane. She had been accused of hitting a flight attendant and trying to open a cabin door mid-flight back in 2021. Now that woman is at the center of a federal civil suit where the FAA is asking her to pay up to more than $80,000 in fines that they issued. Just today, she was served that suit. KENS 5 reporter Megan Dana joins us live after speaking with her. Megan?
Well, Isis, her name is Heather Wells. She did not want to go on camera, but did release a statement apologizing for her behavior that day on that American Airlines flight. She said it stemmed from a mental health episode.
July 7th, 2021. This now deleted viral TikTok video taken from a passenger on board a flight from Dallas to Charlotte, plastered across multiple news outlets, showing a woman duct taped to the seat and screaming. The woman in the video is Heather Wells, and the FAA is suing Wells to collect more than $80,000 in fines. In this lawsuit filed last week, it states Wells was riding first class, and more than an hour into the flight, she started to become agitated and, quote, wanted out of the plane. It alleges she then began running and crawling around the plane while talking incoherently to passengers. When a flight attendant approached her, it alleges she threatened them before trying to grab the handle to the front cabin door. Two flight attendants and a passenger started to restrain her. It alleges she struck a flight attendant in the head multiple times before she was duct taped to the seat. But the lawsuit claims Wells remained aggressive, even breaking the seat in front of her. Once the plane landed in Charlotte, it states Wells had to be sedated to be taken off the plane. Wells was never criminally charged, but was fined $81,000. Her fine came when the FAA was cracking down on unruly passengers, and at the time, it was the largest fine handed out. She released a statement saying in part, I know that it was not rational and I was not actually in any external dangers, but at the time I was genuinely afraid for my life. Words can't express how sorry I am for the fear I caused and the people I hurt, end quote.
And Wells says after she was taken off the plane, she was in the hospital, kept under observation. She says she does not have an attorney and worries she may not be able to afford one. Reporting live in...
I mean, there's really not a whole lot you can do in a civil suit. You go beg the judge not to approve it, I guess. Okay, so I have, so in Las Vegas, there was a man stabbed to death after he sexually assaulted a woman.
We're following a developing story out of the East Valley tonight. Metro police say a man was stabbed to death earlier today after he was caught allegedly sexually assaulting a woman. Reporter Alyssa Bethencourt is live at the scene right now. She joins us with details after speaking with police and witnesses. Alyssa.
And Trisha, police just cleared the scene a few moments ago, but they were out here for about 7 hours looking into what happened. I want to get right to some video to show you the scene from earlier today. Investigators were focusing in on an empty lot just off of Charleston and Laurel here in the East Valley. That is where they say the sexual assault took place. The investigation, of course, is still in its very early stages, but police have been able to share quite a bit of information with us. So far, we understand that a man in his 50s was allegedly sexually assaulting a female victim in her 30s. And while that was happening, a group of people overheard her screaming. Well, police say what they did next potentially helped save her life.
A group of citizens who overheard the female screaming ran to her aid, at which point in time they removed him, and likely that is when he was stabbed.
It is absolutely courageous. I commend them for doing that. And man, if I would have been here, I probably would have done the same thing, especially being a young lady getting assaulted the way she was. I mean, the guy got, it sounds like, what he deserved.
And that man was pronounced dead at UMC. Investigators say the group that helped the woman left the area before officers arrived, and they're now asking them to come forward because they want to find out more details on exactly what happened. Investigators also tell us they are reviewing surveillance video in the area. In the meantime, they're asking anybody with information to call Metro's homicide section to remain anonymous. You can also call Crime Stoppers. That number is 702-385-5555.
Nobody's calling Crime Stoppers. Nobody's going to come forward that attacked that guy. I don't know what Nevada's self-defense laws are. It depends. I wouldn't come forward without an attorney. Even though they're like, yeah, I saved her life. I don't trust that. Nope. Mm-mm. That's what defense attorneys are for. So I have one more video I'm going to share. This was a kidnapping that was attempted, but a stranger intervened. So, you know, we've just had people that intervened in a sexual assault. And I think that people are tired of what's happening. I have seen a lot more self-defense stuff and strangers getting involved when they see something. In New York, they, caught the guy that sexually assaulted the 13-year-old because of strangers. They worked together and held the man and called police and kind of kicked his ass. So I'm proud of society for doing those things, but I hate that we're having to do those things. Things have changed a lot since the pandemic. All right, here we go. Last story.
And she grabbed a child out of the arms of an alleged kidnapper at the Mission Valley Mall. Now that child's mom is thanking her for her actions. ABC 10 News reporter Spencer Soicher introduces us to the 17-year-old Bounce House employee who is being called a hero.
It's her summer job, working at the Bounce House at the Mission Valley Mall.
I just come here, enjoy, have fun with the kids.
17-year-old Jasmine spent plenty of time bouncing around here as a kid. Now she's getting thanked for saving one.
As soon as I found out about it, something said I needed to come up here and talk to them and meet the person who saved my daughter.
Amanda Hartwell is here with a gift for Jasmine. Her 5-year-old daughter was at the Bounce House on Thursday with her sister, another child, and their grandmother when police say a man grabbed her and tried to kidnap her.
He grabs the littlest one, which is 5 years old, picks her up, and the other two start screaming. And from that moment, I knew something was wrong.
Jasmine doesn't want to be shown on camera, but that screaming is when she rushed in to help. She says she was sitting in this white trailer when her instincts kicked in and she ran out the door.
So I just ran out and I grabbed her and I hugged all three of them and he had sped off.
Police tracked down the suspect, 42-year-old Renee Lujan, on the eastbound 94. Lujan is accused of another kidnapping attempt just across the parking lot here on Tuesday. For Hartwell, she's grateful her kids thought to yell.
I am very proud of. I'm proud of both of them.
But perhaps even more relieved, it was Jasmine on the clock that day.
So overwhelmed, grateful, blessed, thankful that she was here and she, risked herself for my children.
For me, to save someone's life, to make sure that someone's protected, makes me feel great.
In Mission Valley, Spencer Soysher, ABC 10 News.
Hartwell says she has no hesitation in sending her kids back to that bounce house. Meanwhile, Lujan is in jail on 2 felony kidnapping charges.
I have more information for you on a story we first told you.
Well, now I'll just play this story, I guess. So I lied, not last story. I'll play this one too. So this was the FBI arresting people in Minnesota for a juror bribe. So don't do that either. Don't bribe jurors.
About Wednesday, the FBI executed a raid of a home in Minnesota as part of an investigation into an alleged juror bribe in a case involving 7 defendants. Lou Ragoose with our sister station in Minneapolis has the latest.
Abdiaziz Farah allegedly bought this home on Hampshire Lane in Savage with money he stole from the federal government as part of the Feeding Our Future scheme. Farah is accused of pocketing $8 million himself to buy property and vehicles. He was the co-owner of Empire Cuisine in Shakopee, which is at the center of the trial involving 7 defendants accused of taking $49 million in all while claiming to serve 18 million meals to children in need during the pandemic. FBI agents raided Farah's home while investigating the source of a $120,000 bribe offered to a juror Sunday night. A family member of the juror reported a Somali woman dropping off the bag of cash, referring to the juror by name and saying there will be more cash if the juror votes not guilty. Only the lawyers and defendants had access to the jurors' names. Judge Nancy Brazel ordered the defendants to turn over their phones and had them all arrested. Prior to Monday, all of them were out of custody, but will be held in jail at least until there is a verdict. Former U.S. Attorney Erica McDonald spoke to the unprecedented nature of the bribe.
I've never seen anything like this, honestly. I've dealt with cases where we have had issues of witness tampering or allegations thereof, but never a case like this. And so I think what people should take from this is that we give jurors instructions and they follow them. And one of them is if you're contacted by an outside party in any way, you report it to me immediately. And that's what happened.
The jury ended a second day of deliberations Wednesday without reaching a verdict.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That was pretty stupid of them. Well, are you asking if the heat is common? Oh yeah. Texas is very hot. I used to live in Florida, and Florida gets hot, but not as hot as it does in Texas. Texas is pretty damn hot, but I feel like it's been getting hotter, and I'm not a fan. I don't like being hot. But anyway. So that is all I have for today. Don't forget to follow me on my other social medias and my Kick and all that stuff. I am going to start Love After Lockup again. I know I haven't done it in a while, so my plan is this Sunday, Love After Lockup on Kick. For those of you that watch Love After Lockup, I did post this on my Twitter. I can't say that this is fact, because I can't say that it's fact because I haven't seen it from an actual news source. I did, sorry, I'm trying to read the chat and talk at the same time. I did see evidence that it looks like it's true, but I'm not going to tell you that this is fact. So if you watch Love After Lockup, Maurice and Jessika were on one of the earlier seasons. They have a child together, but they ended up splitting up, and he's been in California, and he has been with this woman, Mandy, for a while, and not doing so good. He's been arrested a few times and all that. So there's been reports. So I did verify that this crime actually happened. I just can't verify that it's him. So They're saying that Maurice was shot 4 times and that he's currently in a coma. There is a video of somebody that looks like him being taken out on a stretcher, and then definitely somebody that looks like his girlfriend on scene. The girlfriend and friends have been posting that he's in a coma. The Citizen app and local media did report the shooting, just not saying it's him specifically. But if it is true, I wish him a speedy recovery. He has 2 children. I'm hoping that this will be the wake-up call that he needs to do better. But I did post about it on my Twitter, and if you want to look at the Reddit, it's just Maurice and Mandy Reddit. They have a subreddit, so if you want to look more into that. But that is all I have for today. I will be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow with Catch Justice. So if you're not following Catch Justice, then please do that. And today, hopefully, is the last day of the Karen Reed trial. There's a lot of people streaming. The 13th juror, Brandy, is the shaming of Jay, Emily Baker. Any of them would be a good choice to watch the trial. I didn't even know about Emily until CrimeCon, and she has a huge channel, and she's an attorney, and she's ethical, and I care about ethics. But anyway, yes, and Raul, I will be back tomorrow. I need to create the link. I'm so bad at creating and promoting stuff, so I will do that. I will create the link. So I hope to see you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I hope that all of you have a beautiful day. Stay cool, especially if you're in the South, because it's pretty damn hot. Well, I love you all, and I will see you next time. Bye.